Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we are going to be creating an A7 or a 5x7 card using the December 2024 Simon Says Stamp card kit of the month. This is called Warmest Wishes and I love this kit. Let's take a peek at everything inside. You get an embossing powder, 3 ink cubes, these wonderful adhesive transfers. Let's take a look at these. These are snowflakes. I'm always a fan of snowflakes. Beautiful. We're getting some color blend cardstock. I will be using that in another video coming soon. Look at these colors. I always love this cardstock. Some of that specialty paper with the wonderful velvety finish, a new embossing folder with dies. We're definitely using that. The envelope as well. This wonderful stamp set, some cardstock, and a storage bag to keep it all in. So a fantastic, fantastic kit. Using that white cardstock included in the kit, I have die cut this with the A7 postage die from Waffle Flower. So what I wanted to do here, when you get your card kits from Simon Says Stamp, usually they do not contain the coordinating dies for the stamp set in the kit. That is a purchase that you can then add on if you want to. So, I recommend that because there's always those times that you want to use the coordinating dies. If you're like me, there's no cussy cutting happening. And so I would definitely recommend grabbing that. But I also love not using the coordinating dies. And today I thought, let's create a card where I am not using the coordinating dies, and I'm going to share how I am masking off the area on this A7 postage frame to use it with all these wonderful images in the stamp set. So I absolutely love, love, love the stamp set included in the kit. So far from the kit, we have used the 110-pound weight Nina Solar White cardstock, and we are going to be using the wonderful Warmest Wishes 6x8 stamp set coming up next, and we've used the Latte ink. 3 products right off of the bat. So then after I have inked up the squares, just to add a little bit of layering and interest, I'm going to place this in my MISTI with that mask. So I used it first as a stencil to ink up the postage squares, and next we are going to use it as a mask for our images. Once I have it placed in my MISTI with that wonderful Simon Says Stamp craft mat, then I'm going to take stamp sets from the Warmest Wishes set and we're going to lay them out. Now I left this part in the video because I think it might be helpful. I hear from you guys quite often that you like to see the thought process. This is my thought process. You're going to see some things move. You're going to see some things kind of transition where I thought they were going to go, just as I am working through what looks good, what gives me the most balance. One of the things I love about this stamp set is it is a layering stamp set. We're going to build like the ice skate. It is phenomenal. That is a really, really fun one. We're going to build the greenery, all of that good stuff. And I'm really just trying to figure out what works the best. Do I want to add additional text? I totally do. I loved this stamp set so much. If any of you are cross stitchers and followed me back in late summer when we did the Hygge holiday stitch along, and we stitched something kind of similar to this, really. So this gave me all of those vibes, but obviously we're creating it out of stamps and paper and ink, which is amazing. So I'm really playing around and I wanted to incorporate that Hygge kind of definition type of stamps from the set. So that's what I'm working on now. Plus I want a beautiful balance of greenery and imagery. We've got the sweater, we've got the stocking hat, we have the ice skate and the mittens, and we're going to just kind of keep moving it around until I'm happy with it, and then I'm going to remove the stamps, and I did lay them kind of down in front of me where you can't see as far as the camera goes, and I'm going to move them down in order so that I can then start rebuilding each of these blocks, each of these postage blocks as these stamp layering. Okay, I'm very happy with it at this point. I'm going to move those mittens a little bit, and you will see you don't have to have the entire image stamped in the block. In fact, it really almost looks better if part of it is cut off. Okay, this is it, you guys. I'm happy with this. Now we are going to have to incorporate a little extra greenery here and there. You will see that in a little bit, but let's remove everything but that top middle block, and let's start building our wonderful A7 postage. Something I want to mention that I talk about quite a bit in my crafting is mixing and matching. I want to encourage you to mix and match. This is a waffle flower stamp and stencil combo that I've had in my stash probably for over a year. Truth be told, I don't even think I've ever used it. I use the A2 one all of the time, but I am really into the 5x7 cards right now. It gives you so much more real estate to work. I've heard from a lot of you that you love the 5x7 size as well. If you haven't tried it, I encourage you to give it a try. I do tend to be a little slow on the uptake for new, quote unquote, new trends. I often don't know if I want to do it or not, and it takes me a few months, most of the time, to really kind of embrace something new. But I am loving it. I love the real estate it gives. And so what I want to say is shop your stash. When I was looking at this stamp set and thinking, how do I want to do this? I want to do something different. And I've been really drawn to the postage type of products lately. I know a lot of you are as well. Embrace that, you guys. Embrace what you're into at the moment, because I do find that styles and trends are fleeting. Not that you can't come back to it. I definitely come back to my favorite things, but embrace what you're into. Maybe you are creating a bunch of postage themed cards. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can switch it up by simply incorporating something else. So I'm taking waffle flower products made to work obviously with other waffle flower product, but we are using some Simon Says stamp layering stamps with it. And look how beautiful it turns out. We're even going to incorporate a little bit of die cutting and embellishing to finish it all off. So it's a great way to really expand and extend your creativity beyond just the kit and just the products. You can see that I am incorporating some of the inks from the kit, but I also pulled some ink cubes from my stash that I have from Simon Says Stamp. Let's talk about the ink colors we're using. Artichoke is the lighter green ink color that was included in the kit today. Latte, obviously, I am using Latte. That is my light brown color. I'm actually using that to stamp the kind of description of what Hygge is. But the darker brown that I used for Hygge is Cappuccino, which is in that same trio that the Latte, comes in. So I pulled that Cappuccino from my stash. The darker green is Kale, which also is in the trio with Artichoke. I pulled that from my stash. And then instead of the pucker ink that comes in the kit, I wanted a little bit deeper, richer red, so I opted to use Brick. All of these are Simon Says Stamp positively saturated inks, and this is just kind of my personal favorite color combo for the holiday. And that is another point that I'd like to make in this video, is you can change this to any color combination you prefer. And don't be afraid to embrace what you love, because I find that you can always reinvent and make it your own. And I find it really kind of helps define your personal crafting style. If you're just starting out and you're looking for your personal style, you can take elements from your favorite crafters and you kind of will eventually evolve and find what you love. So for this sweater, I used Kale and Artichoke. I believe I only ended up using 7 ink colors in this entire design, and one of those colors is only for the blade on the ice skate. We are using Latte, Cappuccino, Mocha, Brick, artichoke, and kale. I hope I got all of those. And then flannel is going to be the kind of light gray or silver-ish, it's gray, for the blade of our ice skate. Now, this ice skate is amazing, you guys. This ice skate is so fun to build, and there's lots of little pieces. They are labeled on your stamp sheet, which make it very easy to build this ice skate with all of the colors that you like. I did start with a nice light color. So the latte color, then the sole of our ice skate, I used mocha. And then there's, let's see, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layering pieces for the ice skate. One of them I've already done, which is the laces. Then the main greenery piece. And then there's 2 individual green pieces and 2 individual red pieces. They fill in the design on the ice skate. Is it not beautiful? Oh my gosh, I love it so, so much. If you're ever concerned at all about smearing the ink that is sitting now on top of the mask, so the mask I'm using for my postage here, whether you're using the A2 size or the A7 size or even the slimline postage size from Waffle Flower, I would recommend removing your mask and wiping it down. A little closer to finishing up the card, I do take it out, wipe it down, and then I do replace it to work on it, simply because my concern is always I don't want to smear that ink. The great thing about stencils is they are so easy to line back up that I didn't have to worry, you know, that by moving it, like if you're moving a stamp, it's really hard to get that lined back up. But moving this stencil mask is not difficult whatsoever. And so I am going to end up taking it out and kind of wiping it down, just because if I would smear at this point, I have invested a little bit of time in all of this stamp layering. This is a lot of stamping, a very stamp heavy card, but look how beautiful it ends up being. I am leaving my postage together today for a 5x7 card. I do want to encourage you though, if you are even an A2 size card maker, you don't have to use the A2 postage. You could cut these apart and divide them maybe up into 2 to 3 cards and just have individual postage stamps, and that would be amazing as well. That is another one of my favorite looks for these postage sets from Waffle Flower, is that they're very easy to cut apart and create those little individual postage stamps. Now I'm filling in little bits and pieces here and there. Like I wanted a little more greenery in my Hygge block. And you'll notice that I think the sweater block needs a little something. The hat block needs a little something. I did add a little greenery to the ice skate block. Just those little edges where it definitely could benefit from additional color and interest. I will then grab the Waffle Flower postage sets, and you'll notice that our stencil here, or our masking stencil, has been cleaned. But I am going to take those Waffle Flower stamp sets and we're going to add the postage cancellation and prices and things to just make them look a little bit more like postage stamps. We'll go ahead and pull this up now. Oh no, you know what? I feel like that top left corner still needs a little something. So I'm going to play around with my stamps, and I ultimately just decided let's add another little green leaf, and that was the perfect finishing touch. Okay, now we can pull it away and let's look and see what we have. Oh my goodness, look at these. It's so beautiful. Next, I am going to put it back in my MISTI, although I'm going to shift it to the corner. And This is those cancellation stamps from Waffle Flower. This is the basic one, and we're also going to use the North Pole or Christmas themed one to stamp with the mocha color of ink. I didn't want to use black here. I've really kind of kept it to the browns and very neutral, except for that little pop of red, very hygge. So we're going to add those little touches here so that it doesn't take away from the beautiful layered stamping from the Warmest Wishes set. The cancellation is from the original Postage set. The little cancel mark here with the snowflake is from the North Pole set. I love that. I like the little snowflake. It says Merry Christmas. And then we're going to start adding prices. And this just kind of helps round out and finish off the postage look and feel of this design. And again, all of this is going to be stamped with the mocha color of ink. We'll go down here, just layer them in here and there. And I'm trying to stamp multiple at one time so that I can get this stamped as quick as possible. I do recommend using a stamp positioner like the Misty. It does help if you need to restamp stuff. And I did find I needed to restamp a couple things just to make sure that it was crisp and you could read it really well, and that I had good coverage for a lot of those full coverage areas. Let's add another cancellation up here. And I dropped my ink pad, and I am real glad it didn't drop right on my project. Can you guys even imagine? There might have been some crying that happened if that would have occurred. All right, now that we have that, I'm going to take my paper trimmer and we are going to create our 5x7 card base from some simonsaysstamp Schoolhouse Red cardstock. I am going to trim it down to 7 by 10 and then score it at the 5-inch mark using my Spellbinders trimmer. I love this trimmer. The score and cutting blades are right here and work so easily. And then before we attach this to our card base, I do want to use a bone folder to kind of reinforce that score line. And then we're going to embellish this panel. Through those postage holes, I am going to thread through some of this gold Spellbinders twine, and we're going to wrap it through about 3 times and tie it into a bow on the front. And I'm just feeding it through. You could also put it on a needle to maybe make it a little easier, but I didn't. And then we're just going to tie it on the front. It's very delicate and thin. I didn't want to use a thicker, like a baker's twine or a ribbon, because I felt like it would overpower the design, if that makes sense. But you, depending on what kind of design you're doing, you definitely could. Another product I would recommend for this is like the Lawn Fawn twine. It's nice and thin as well, and I think that would provide a beautiful look. Now, I originally tied the bow over here on the right. I'm not loving that, so let's scoot that over now, more towards the center. And we're just going to retie that. And I like it a little bit better here. And once I'm happy with the placement, this is where we're going to embellish. I want to take some extra die cuts. I love the long leaf pine sprig from simonsaysstamp, and we are going to embellish kind of around that bow. I've placed some foam adhesive behind the postage and I'm popping it up on my card base. I love that look. I'm adding a little bit of glue back behind just the tip of the sprigs and tucking them up underneath the bow. Once I'm happy with all of my greenery placement, I am going to glue the bow in place as well so I don't have to worry about it moving. I used only about 4 of these sprigs, and I felt like that was about enough. I die cut these from some Palm Hero Arts cardstock. And again, once I'm happy with this, we're just going to make sure the bow is where we want it and we're going to kind of hold that in place. Unfortunately, my tweezers were not long enough. Usually I use my tweezers to kind of hold that. So what I'm going to do is get it where I want it to go, and then I'll put something heavy on top to hold that down. My bone folder, by the way, not heavy enough, didn't work. So let me add a little extra glue, and we'll probably use something a little heavier. Okay, I also took the Lawn Fawn sparkle pen and I added a sparkle finish to the berries, the pom-pom, and even some of the other little embellishments on these postage stamps. I'm taking some white grit paste and I am very lightly applying that to the edges of my leaf pine sprigs to give it a little bit of that flocking or snow, and then we will allow that to dry as well. Once the sparkle finish that I did apply is dry, it's only going to be sparkly and it's not going to, have that opaque-ish, or not opaque, but translucent-y weird look. It's going to dry clear and sparkly. Finally, I'm going to finish my card with some of these pretty pink Posh cherry red pearls, little berries to our greenery. We're going to do about 3 here in the center and do a few out on each sprig or kind of around each sprig just to finish it off. Very simple, very elegant as far as finishing. Doesn't overpower the design at all. In fact, I think it just enhances it and adds to the interest. I love to use my embellishment wand for this. It helps keep the fingers out of any of the gluey product. Now you definitely want to let your project sit and dry all the way, whether you're using glossy accents or sparkle lacquer. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this postage themed holiday card featuring the Simon Says stamp December 2024 card kit of the month called Warmest Wishes. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching! Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.